Today, we are starting the Youth Academy Challenge as the manager of Bordeaux. So, guess who's a sucker for punishment? Because we are back with a Youth Academy Challenge save. There are teams in this division that will go professional or semi-professional. It's kind of interesting to see how much that happens and who's going to be punished by their situation. But we're here. We've signed with Bordeaux. They've got a lot of money. And I'm not going to be able to touch any transfer budget at all, which means I'm probably going to turn all that into wages or scouting budget because I like to know things. I like knowledge. And we're here because we're going to do a Youth Academy Challenge save with Bordeaux. Given their financial difficulty over the years and the fact they were administratively relegated 2 years ago, I was going to do this save in 2025. The fact we now have the opportunity to do it in 2026 because they didn't get promoted makes sense. It's also the only city I've been to in real life that I could probably say that made sense for me in the Youth Academy Challenge save thing. So it was an ideal situation. I've been there and it just makes sense to try the Youth Academy Challenge save with Bordeaux in a country I've never done it in before. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. And given we need to win both Ligue 1 and the Champions League to complete the challenge, the fact we'll need to beat PSG in Ligue 1 means that we're probably going to be winning the Champions League before winning Ligue 1 anyway. So that's one of those weird things, isn't it? That being said, we have just signed a contract. I have no coaching qualifications, which makes a lot of sense for why this challenge is so difficult. No coaching qualifications. Our attributes in this are really poor. And yes, we are going to suffer. I can literally ask to get a coaching course immediately. And it's fine. We're not going to have much to work with here. No coaching qualifications. And we are going to try our best to make sure that Bordeaux are the best team in France, using only youth intake players going forward. But that doesn't mean we can't use the players we currently have at the club now. And that is the plan to start things off. We need to go with the squad and see who is our better player. Who are the best players at this team right now? One of the first things we need to go over is looking at the players at the club and see who is contracted and how long they're contracted for. The fact we can mostly say that most of the players here are contracted until at least next season or the end of 2028 and maybe even 2029 in some cases is promising. We are paying some players $2 grand a week. The fact that our highest paid player is our goalkeeper is a good sign, but we also need to look at the players that are currently not contracted. So we have to look at these 4 players, 5 players in fact, to see who is worthwhile keeping around. Dario is a player that is not contracted. He's on a non-contract. This team literally just turned professional this season, and he's only considered a leading player for the division down below. So it's not like he could probably be kept around, but I might keep it around anyway, simply because we need the numbers going forward. Etienne Bougre is also a player that we might not be able to keep around in terms of long term. He's also being paid $2 grand a week. However, I might keep it around because he's 6'5" and has 19 jumping reach. A very useful player in terms of the target forward situation. Yes, he's also considered a leading player for the division below. Doesn't like big matches and has injury problems. So I don't know what to do with that. But he is someone who can become good enough to play for the division we're in now. So maybe we still keep him around after all. But then you realise we've got a few more strikers to talk about. And I can probably get rid of at least 1 or 2. Adrian Santos is one of those players. He's on £430 a week and a player with good stamina, but not much else to really write about. So maybe we need to be a bit more concerned. He's also someone who could be a staff member. Actually looks competent as a scout, I'm not going to lie. Whether or not I need him is a different matter altogether though. But if I was to look at him, he's only a fringe player. Consistent, yes, but only a 4th tier player. We're in the 3rd tier now. We need to keep players who are better than that. And the last player that is not contracted after this season is Mathieu Villette. And actually looks like a decent player for this division. Literally a decent player. Lacks determination, but he likes big matches and he's fairly consistent. So maybe we keep him around and give him some more time. Yes, the forward determination is an issue, but we could just keep him around generally as a whole. He's also 25. He could definitely be improved, I think. For 1 year anyway. But now we look at the best players, and Steve Chamel is our best player. On paper, an inside winger, which means that it looks like the 4-3-3 that I've been using all of FM26 is the way to go for now. He is considered a leading player for this division, which is very remarkable when you realise he was playing in the tier below last year, and I don't believe he's been signed at all. He is on 2.5 grand a week. What was his career trajectory like? Yeah, he was at the club last year, so clearly they brought him in anyway. And apparently he's also been in the academy before. Oh, he's literally come back to his home team. Okay, that's actually nice. I love that about it. That's so fun. Jan Hulstrik is not a player that is homegrown at club at all, as far as I'm aware, but he's a very good goalkeeper for this division and a leading player. Dreads big matches, but I am not going to be so concerned by that. We can work with this. He is fairly consistent, thankfully, so despite the fact he doesn't like big matches, it's not like it's in the world. And he's got a goalkeeper who's a backup, who's 22, who could be better longer term in Asana Diabate. He's a decent player for this division, and this guy loves big matches. Okay, and fairly consistent. He could be a Ligue 2 player. We might need to play Diabate at some point in the near future. He's on a 2-year deal too. He is considered a backup player, but that's not bad. But the person that is considered the best left back is Maxime Pondre, and I think I'm saying the name wrong. Forgive me if I am. But he likes to run with the ball down the left, so he's someone we can definitely justify doing it. Does shoot from distance. With 10 long shots, that's not the end of the world. But he's definitely a wing back, and I'm going to utilize that to my advantage. He is considered a good player for his division. Isn't going to get much better. He's also 33. So it'd be nice if someone came in his position for the youth intake. We've only got a few more players that are considered to be 3.5-star accountability players in this team. And Yanez Metri is one of the players. 5'9", but is considered best as a target forward. 8 finishing, but 15 bravery. Composure 12, though, isn't too bad. He is considered a good player for this division. Fits in well with the squad. Is he consistent? Yes. He's also a fan of big matches, so actually a good player for this division and for this team. Valentin Jacob is also an inside winger. So my inside winger idea is definitely going to work here. He also likes to move into the channel and shoot from distance. I mean, 13 long shot, that makes sense to me. By all means, have fun. He's also good at set pieces, so I think that's a good sign for our point of view. We're going to have to figure out where we want to go with it, though, but he is a player that is considered a good player for his division. He is fairly consistent. Doesn't look like he likes big matches, but also doesn't look like he hates them. He's fairly professional, though, so we can have him mentoring some young talent. So, supporter profile, that's important. They want us to finish mid-table, play direct football, defensively solid football, and high-tempo pressing football, and be competitive against Toulouse and Nantes if we ever come up against them. It's not happening yet, but let's be honest, that would be fine. We've got a lot of rivals to talk about in the future. PSG and Lyon and Marseille are going to be difficult to face against in the near future, but everyone else, I think we could do some damage against in the distant future. Stade Bordeaux is probably the one that we can do right now, but Toulouse, Nantes, Marseille, the fact that 5 of those teams are in Ligue 1 at least right now is going to be problematic for that. I believe they're all in Ligue 1. Yes, they are. I think they're all in Ligue 1. Yeah. That's a problem for now, isn't it? That we will not have to worry about overcoming. But the club vision expectations, finish mid-table. That's fine. I can finish mid-table, I think. Then get a top half finish. Then reach the playoffs in Season 3. So that's a good start. We can work with that. And I think we can definitely do some damage here. But if you look at the transfer budget of £3.5 million to spend, I'm not going to spend that money on transfers. What we're going to be doing is turning it into wages if we needed to, which could mean I can't take it away. But we got £30,000 in wages to really work with, so that's fine. However, that implies are we making a signing by chance? Because I took over this club today as they ticked over the new season. I don't know if they have or not, to be honest with you. Ah, we do have a person that we're apparently trying to sign. That makes sense. I'm going to have to cancel this. This is actually a very good thing to have as an example, because this still has not been done yet, and it's happening after I've arrived. I can cancel this. So we're going to cancel this deal because we can't sign any players as a result of the Youth Academy Challenge save rules. So that's now a thing we can cancel, and we can go forward from here. Okay, so I'm going for the tactics. They have an option of 3 different tactics, and they're suggesting either a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 formation. We are going to go for 4-3-3 both ways, and then tinker things as we go along, you know? So, I'm going for this tactic again. It's not failed me so far. I realize that it can change quickly, how easily things can happen. However, these are the players that are currently in my team that I can trust, I feel like, and it's a good sign. So, Hogstreet is the goalkeeper of my first choice, a leading goalkeeper for this division. 6'7", by the way. Hadn't noticed that until now. So, he's going to be someone I can hopefully trust to collect the crosses comfortably. But we have a problem in right back because this is our best right back and he's 35. I say he's our best. He's fairly determined, so he's got a good mentorship to him. I could be wrong. Maybe asking this guy to be a wingback is not the best idea in the world, but I also realize he could do some damage. If I look at the players that can play there, there is actually one person that I can put in here, and that is this guy, Leo Jocelyn, who, looking at his potential, probably should be starting the pace as well. So this guy might be the guy we throw in there. He's either going to be that or he's going to be our holding in the... Actually, we could just do holding, could we? We could just do holding and wing back. So that is the thing we can do with him. He can play all the way up the line, to be honest with you. He's not perfect at the role, but if we need him to be, we could do a lot of things with this, and we can definitely experiment with this along the way. He's also looking to become an age. He might be about to go. Hold on. Can I get you to sign a new contract? You might be important to my plans. We're keen to... He doesn't like big matches, yes, but I'm keen to renew. Can I ask a bit lower? No. That's fine. I can still do this anyway. So this is the thing I'm going to do. I'm actually going to give this guy a new contract. He wants to be a fringe player only. We are going to have to pay him about 2.5 grand. He is asking for about 3 times more than he's being paid right now, which is fine. What would I have to do here to convince him to do this? So, 2 grand? Yeah, 2 grand. Okay, that's fine. We can do that. So, it was important to get this player over the line. I actually hadn't realized how useful he could be. I may not even use him that much, honestly, but he is going to be a player that we will use, I think, longer term down the line, given he is better than the player that is 35 in the long term, and we will need to be consistent of this. He is very consistent as well, so he could become a good player for this division in the future. So, longer term, he is the plan. He is the player. He's also considered the best person on the line. We also got Cisse, who I am just going to use as a centre-back. I'm just going to say so now, this guy is my centre-back, who's 6'1". We can definitely work with that. I know he can do some damage. He's on a 2-year contract too, so Cisse is my guy. But again, this guy was the person that starts at right back, and he's actually a person I can say is good for the role. I just can't trust him to be speedy, and maybe we just have him play inside or an inside fullback. Something that we just use a role that doesn't actually require him to use his pace, but his crossing is good. So as a static player who is just asked to get further forward and just whip balls in, he could be perfect for the role. Good work rate too, and we can definitely justify this guy's inclusion, even if he's about to retire in 2 years' time. He'll be 37 by the time we get to the last part of the contract, so I'll start him for now, and then I'll ease him out of the team. That being said, I am going to talk about the Cisse thing, because He's one of my 2 centre-backs. I mentioned him already. Doesn't let big matches. It's an issue, but potentially a Ligue 2 player, so he's very important. I don't think we'll ever get to that, to be honest with you, but it's also not in the world if he doesn't. Now, this guy, I'm going to put a lot of faith in. Jean Grilot is a player that I think can become a very good centre-back for me. Left-footed, so he's perfect for that side. And he's a player that can play centre-back generally, so a good situation to be in. Can't do much more than that. Has good vision, but I don't really trust his passing. So he's just going to be a centre-back who we need to up the pace off a little bit. And hopefully we can get him to become a bit faster. But overall, he's not a bad player to have as a starting point. And again, a player that apparently he's only considered a leading 4th-tier player. I think he's got more to him than that. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just overestimating how good this guy is and his potential. Or I'm just being deceived by the stars. I don't know. But I feel like he's got potential. He's on a 2-year deal, £900 a week. So it's not like it's the end of the world. But like I said, I was going to make this guy my left back. He's got age on against him, really. So it's not like he's in the world. He's also a pressing fullback. So I might just have him pressing as a wing back. He can play further up the line too if we needed him to be. So as an advancing wing back. So we could just make him, if we ever need to go for a back 5 formation, this guy could just do the role perfectly. I don't know if he'll actually be good enough in the longer term. I know that he's only a good player for this division right now. He may not stick around much longer. But also, look at the players that are in the left back position. We don't have the depth, I don't think, to really justify having him in. This guy is his backup. He's 31. So if we do have backup players for this role, it's mostly the issue is they're older and they're not young. We need a young left back to come through the system, I think. And the fact that this is the 3rd choice left back and he's 27 also doesn't help our case. So we are going to need a player to come through our system quickly. Also, I've already got 5 substitutes in the 3rd tier. So even if I wanted to rotate, I wouldn't have the options anywhere on the bench. So that's awkward. But DM Abdul Bar, I'm going to make him a deep line playmaker. I could just make him a halfback, I know. But as a deep line playmaker, I feel like he can do a good job. Anything defensively, he's good at in this area. So I'm not concerned at all. He is 6 foot. So it's not like he's going to be a problem longer term in that situation. He's also 27. And probably isn't going to get much better. There is an issue where I could say that the players in our division, in our team, are not very good for what I'm looking at. Also, the fact this is our best DM on paper is a bit concerning. So maybe I just have to go and abandon this idea. But I don't think I can really justify playing a role without DMs, really. But if I was to go for a DM, then Adama Diop is probably the guy to go for. He can play a deep line playmaker. He is also only considered a 4th tier player, but has potentially be a Ligue 2 player. So it's a good position to be in. He's also got a French nationality. He also has got international caps. So it's an issue where I could potentially say, yeah, this guy's got potential, but do we have the long-term vision to keep him around? I don't know. I'm actually going to play him further midfield, though, because I think he can play the role quite nicely, and it will help him get better as well, generally. So maybe a midfield playmaker and go from there. I don't know. We need to figure out the role longer term here. What I do know is that Faisal Manai is the guy that will probably be my starting centre midfielder, who is someone who enjoys big matches, and that's a good sign. Consistent too. But he's also an attacking midfielder, so maybe I need to be careful with this. He can play on the wings if I needed him to, but left-footed, I think can definitely be a channel midfielder for the back. And the fact that they agree with me with this situation is a good sign. But we need to be careful where we go from here, honestly. Honestly, the one area I don't think we're having issues with is up front, and Valentin Jacob is the person we'll have on the right wing. A good player for our division, but he's also 32, so maybe I'm lying when I say we don't have issues up here. We just need to have younger talent coming through sooner rather than later. And an inside winger is a very good start for this guy. I could say inside forward, but he doesn't have the attributes for some areas either. And I need to have a person that is going to be able to help us out longer term here. But Steve Chamel is definitely the guy that I'm going to have to build a team around. And that means I can't actually play a system without wingers, because if I try to play him up front, he's not going to be able to suit the role. So a winger-based system is what we have to go for now. And the fact that this guy is our best striker is a bit alarming. 5'9" being a target forward first and foremost is not ideal. But this guy is the person I'll trust up front for now. He is good at penalties as well, so that's a good sign. Actually having a penalty taker that is good is nice for once. So we could definitely justify that longer term. However, it doesn't mean that I can't actually go for a now formation myself, and I doubt I will go for this longer term. But the opportunity to go for a now formation is there if we really wanted to. And we can have the likes of Jacob go further up forward and go from here. Apparently he doesn't like a free roam, so a free roll isn't what we can do for now. We'll have to go for something like an attacking midfielder there and see where we can go from here. Again, it's not an ideal situation to be in, but he is someone who can definitely play the role nicely, and that's an opportunity either way in itself. However, if we were to go for a 4-2-3-1 formation, we need to go for something like this. We'll need to definitely have a system where we can go for a 4-3-3 and actually have a player on the right-hand side that can justifiably go ahead and play the role perfectly, which means Shamel is actually probably capable of doing the role nicely. And we can have the winger go deep here, and we can have one of the strikers that we haven't talked about be up front, which is an opportunity we can tinker with and experiment with, which is nice. I also realize that we're going to have to find a system quickly if we want to find a team that really suits our style of play. So having 3 formations and the same thing is useful. I just press escape by accident. That's fine. I have learned something new today. But I like the idea that we can experiment with the system with the Youth Academy Challenge. It's actually the perfect save setting that we can just experiment with this sort of thing. And we can go from there. I still need to respond to a few things, don't I? That being said, I've actually not even tinkered with the staff yet. I can experiment with a few things. So I can actually bring people in, unlike some other saves I've done in the past recently. So hopefully we can find some good people to help out with that. And we've got Leclerc, who's our head of youth development. Honestly, doesn't look bad for the role. Does have a formation that I could justifiably go along with. A 4-4-2 2DM position and a 4-3-3. If we can fix our roles to that, that could be fun. Maybe we could just target what we want to go for with that and go from there. I don't know. We need to figure that out. We do need to get a assistant manager, though. I will never feel comfortable about a assistant manager, really. We do have too many scouts as it is, though, so we could slim that down a little bit. We don't need that many scouts, really. We do need a sports science, though, so we need to figure things out here, I think. The best way to figure out who is better at something at this point is literally just go through this and have them drop down. So we'll take a screenshot of that and have a list of what is suitable for what we're looking for. And we'll use that to see who is considered our better scouts. And honestly, Alomoi might be the person we let go of for now. I don't know. It's one or two people we have to get rid of in this situation. So unfortunately, we have to keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I know for certain Yannick is definitely staying. He's really good for our position and our league. Only reasonable. Okay. And competent in both. Alright. I've also realised I never actually showed you where we're expected to finish in all of this talk. So, where we're expected to finish as an independent team is actually in 10th place for now. And we don't know what to expect going forward. But if we look at this, they think we can go for 4-3-3 formation and having to tinker with things either way. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes from here. Apparently with all these sign players, I've not made a single sign myself, but that is what it is, unfortunately. The thing is, I'm not even going to see any of the transfers that happen right now, so I wouldn't be able to tell you either way. However, with £10 million in the bank, we can definitely do some damage, and I'm definitely going to go out my way to try and get a coaching course sorted out immediately, so that'd be nice. That being said, let's start a coaching course. That being said, I actually should make a point of looking at my second team because there are some players in this list that legitimately we could just keep around or get rid of. Because we've got so much money, we could probably keep every one of these players here. And we actually have a 19-year-old here that might have reasonable potential. Which is a promising sign. He's only a good player for the 4th tier, but he's playing the second team. Either way, we have 2 players who apparently could be considered either 2-star or 2.5-star accountability players. Lucas Wacro is considered a National 2 leading player and could be potentially even better. Only a decent player for our division, but he is also consistent and likes to be matches, so could be useful. We got a lot of strikers or attacking or wide wing players. That's interesting to know. Good finishing, mind you. Just lacking bravery. But we also got this guy who can play as a DM as well if we really want him to. I don't see DM in his future personally, but I also don't really see him in a position where we can justify bringing him in, but it is what it is. He's got areas to be excited about, but he's not very good otherwise, is he? Could be a good national player, though, in the future if he develops nicely. I might keep him around. I don't know. Now, this is an area I should have looked at before. We've got a lot of players with high potential already. And of course it's a striker who's apparently can play as a winger and as a centre midfielder. Of course it is. Good finishing, though. 12 of finishing. Composer's not so great. A realist player. And has good acceleration and pace. So we could definitely work with that. But Sami Diao is someone who could be a wing-back and a centre-back. Definitely a wing-back. 5'9". I can't justify him as a centre-back, really. Definitely a wing-back. And he's considered a 4th-tier player. So, honestly, could have played last year if they really wanted him to. And they had the title sewn up, but they didn't. He is inconsistent. Light-hearted personality, though, so that's good. Another centre-back. This guy is 6'6". I think I'm going to try and find a way to justify this guy's inclusion into my team and to bring him into the first team at some point. Hasn't got pace or acceleration, but decent personality. Does work hard for the team, though. And this guy's another right back who is unambitious, but has got good physicals, so that's a shame. Also, his marking's terrible. We got so many right backs. This guy's a light-hearted personality, but he has better physicals. He does need to work on a few things like his tackling, so definitely can work on him. But a midfield playmaker, actually a role we play, passing and technique has been as good as it is very useful. Fairly professional too. We got some exciting young talent here. We just need to figure out how to use them. But inside forward, who's considered a 1.5-star accountability player already. Low determination is an issue, which is 5. But has not great attacking skills. He's an inside winger, I think, in my mind. Does need to work on his teamwork, though. And this guy is a winger on the left-hand side. I'm only showing you these guys now because I don't think you'll see much of them after this, quite frankly. But you never know. I'll dedicate control of the friendlies. Okay, this is what we wanted to find. So, the way to get to this is you click on Advice and Reports, right? So we can now see all the reports we're looking for. So player reports, we need to make sure that our head of development is always in control of the development stuff, as well as the youth development stuff, which is why I didn't want to have our director of football in control of that. No offense, I just want youth development and head of youth development in control. It's just how I view it personally. I can't do it otherwise. I can't control who's in control of the feedback for the coaching. Lovely, love that. That being said, though, I'm gonna end things here. I'm curious to see how you guys approach this, how you guys like this idea, the way I've presented this. I know it isn't ideal. I know it isn't the best, and it could be a lot better. But I wanted to test something. I wanted to experiment a little bit with something for the first time and go from there. And I hope you guys enjoy it because it's interesting. I wanted to test out the waters with a new idea and a new approach to things. But yeah, let me know how you feel about it below, and I'll see you then. Until then, though, goodbye, and well, good night.